Alright, I'm going to walk you through how to set up Flubaroo. Now, if you push out a quiz to students, first you're going to have the students take the quiz, then go to edit this form. Here you can go to view responses, and now you can see which students took this particular quiz. Now, just because this was an example, I filled in a couple of students. So this would be their names, this would be all different emails, this would be their email addresses. Then here are their responses. I like to add an extra column for class period, that way I can sort their results based on class period, I can sort it based on their name. First I need to go up here to my add-ons. So I've already added in Flubaroo before, so it's going to be automatically there. But if you haven't done so, then you're going to go to Get to Add-ons, and you're simply going to search for Flubaroo right there. Then I would accept it, and it would take a minute to run, and then it would appear in my add-ons. So I'm going to go to Grade Assignment. The great thing is you can grade the assignment multiple times. So let's say a student's absent, or they take it at a later period, or you simply just want to make sure that students are, getting the correct answer. You decide to change the answer. You can run the script again. So I know for a fact that I don't want their usernames, their names, the period. I don't want that graded because it identifies the students. Flubaroo gives me options. I can also skip grading. So for example, if you decide to have a free response section or a comments or reflection section, you could choose to, in addition to identify students, you could choose to skip grading. That way it won't count against the student. If it's free response, it's very, very difficult for Flubaroo to grade. But I can make each of these questions worth 1 point. I could make a question worth 5 points. That's entirely up to what you're quizzing students on and what your end goal is. I'm going to hit continue. Then it's going to ask me for the answer key. Now you're the one that fills out the answer key. So this should be in this list if I had students actually taking it. My username, and then if you give yourself a name, you could do that as well. Then click continue. Sometimes the script will take a few minutes to run, sometimes it's super fast. It usually depends on how many students you had taking the quiz. So now I can view grades. What's really, really nice about this and the results is it highlights in red, how students did. So I just selected a bunch of random answers. So students would normally, I'm sure do better than this, but it'll highlight in red, say anyone who received 70% or lower than a 70% on the quiz. It'll also highlight the questions. So in a similar fashion to Mastery Manager, if there's a question that most students or a certain percentage of students did poorly on, it highlights it for you, because then you can go back and look at that question. It gives you up here, in addition, points, average, how many times it's submitted. So if you choose to have students submit the quiz multiple times, then they have the opportunity to, improve their score. It gives you the lowest score, and that is essentially the results. What's nice too is that this information can be formative, and you can send it back to your students. So I'm going to go back to add-ons. I'm going to go to Flubaroo. Now that I've graded the assignment, I want to email the grades to my students. This will go straight into their school email, and it'll be immediate. So I'm going to email based on their username, which is their email address. I can choose to list the questions and the scores. That way they can look back at the questions, they can see how they performed, and you can also include an answer key. If you include an answer key, that will provide them with the correct answer. You might want to think about that. If you are planning on using this as an assessment you put in the grade book, you might not want to send the answer key to your students if you have the same prep multiple periods. But realistically, I never ran into a problem with students having the answer key and I rarely, when I used Flubaroo in this capacity, I rarely used it as anything more than a formative assessment, but it is nice to have that option as well. And if you've used clickers before, this feels very similar to clicker quizzes. It's just in a different format using your Chromebook. This is nice too. You can put a specific message. This message will go to all students. You can't personalize the message, but it's definitely a nice feature as well. Select continue, and as soon as the script is done running, then you can tell students to check their email, because it'll go pretty quickly depending on how many students you're sending to. Now once you email them, the grade, it'll say that you've emailed them. It will not re-email them every time you run the script. So if I ran the second period, I could email all my second period students. Then I can run the script again on 7th period, and it won't re-email the students, so it won't keep clogging up their inbox. So that's really nice. So it keeps track of that for you. If a student were to retake the quiz, then I could re-email them the results. So those are the features of Flubaroo. It's very nice. You can look at the report. It gives you some good information and data. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm happy to sit through and go through that with you.